Hi everyone, Slade Perrins here from Speedcafe.com to preview the upcoming round of the Ryco Supercars Championship at the Bend Motorsport Park. We've got the OTR SuperSprint this weekend as the championship heads to South Australia. But first, it's time to catch you up on some news. This is Ryco Filters Clearing the Air. The biggest story that we've had in the break was the announcement that Pukekohe Raceway will cease to all motorsport operations in April next year. Pukekohe has obviously been the home of the Ryco Supercars Championship New Zealand round, but it's likely this September's ITM Auckland Supersprint will be the last at Pukekohe Raceway. Motorsport being shut down at Pukekohe Raceway brings an end to an era, with this year's round being the 20th Supercars Championship round at the circuit. The racetrack was originally opened in 1963, officially hosting Supercars' first international event in 2001, notwithstanding a non-championship round in 1996. That's aside from Supercars switching to Hamilton for 5 years between 2008 and 2012. Pukekohe also had a 2-year absence from the calendar in 2020 and 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of a replacement for a New Zealand round, Supercars did issue a statement after the news about Pukekohe, stating that they are committed to a round in New Zealand, that they will be exploring other options to host an event. It looks like the most likely option for that could be Hampton Downs Motorsport Park, also on the North Island. That track is owned by Tony Quinn and was put forward by both Greg Murphy and Andre Heimgartner, as you would have seen on Speedcafe.com in the last few days. Now, Hampton Downs was slated to host a Supercars round in 2020, and that was due to local regulations which prevented Pukekohe from actually doing so on the planned Anzac Day date. But we haven't seen any racing in New Zealand since 2019, in fact. There's plenty of relationships there with New Zealand and Auckland Unlimited, who promote the Supercars round over in Pukekohe. So it's likely that we will see New Zealand back on the calendar next year, and it's just where we're going to have that race, which will be the question needs to be answered. Another big story in the break was that Race, the consortium that owns Supercars, rejected a takeover bid for the championship. The approach for Supercars actually came from a group called Fantech, which is a European-based sports media and entertainment organization, and that offer that they had to purchase, which would have actually delivered a 20% return for Race. Fantech was afforded the opportunity to do some due diligence on Supercars, but that process went through, and then the bid that it put in to buy the championship was actually rejected. So there's plenty to play out there as to what will happen with Supercars. Now, of course, Race, that consortium bought Supercars off Archer Capital in October, and they purchased a 60% stake, with teams having a 35% share in the championship still. We had some news about Newcastle. Now, a proposed date was actually put forward for a 2023 season opener for the Supercars Championship, and that is March 10 to 12, 2023. And that would kick off the new season on the Newcastle East Street Circuit, and that's a return for that racetrack to the calendar. It's all subject to approvals though, but we could see Supercars' new era with Gen 3 for the first time on the streets of Newcastle in March. Also part of that announcement was that renewal talks are set to take place with the relevant parties over racing at Newcastle for another 4 more years, so an extension to a new contract, in fact, for Supercars at Newcastle. There's been plenty floating around about Gen 3. As revealed on Speedcafe.com, the project has gone through a late redesign involving the control chassis front end. Now, the program has actually moved into its next phase, with Supercars head of motorsport Adrian Burgess revealing to Speedcafe.com the engines themselves have been paritized, so they've reached parity with the Ford Mustang and the Chevrolet Camaro engine, and now those engines will be sent over to the US for a bit of endurance testing. The prototypes had their most recent shakedown at Queensland Raceway on Thursday last week, and we had Chaz Mostert driving the Mustang for the first time there, but they'll be back in action at the Bend Motorsport Park this weekend. They've got a full hour of dedicated running on Friday, and then they're back out on Monday for a full day of testing. The main hopes of running the cars at the Bend will be to put the oil system through its test and make sure that there's no surging going on, and from that point Supercars will be able to sign off on the oil system and move forward with the next steps. Premier Racing moved into its new workshop on the Gold Coast in between rounds as well. They were operating out of the Premier Hire depot in Brisbane in the suburb of Darra, but the team's two ZB Commodores for Chris Pither and James Golding have now moved into a dedicated facility in Arundel on the Gold Coast. In Bathurst 1000 news, we had Jalen Robotham confirmed as Matt Charter's co-driver for this year's Bathurst 1000. It's going to be a real family-focused tilt at this year's great race for the team, and the entry will be run under the Matt Charter Motorsport banner. Now, obviously both drivers coming from Super 2. Jalen himself is a 19-year-old and currently taking part in his second season in Super 2 off the back of his maiden race win at Sydney Motorsport Park earlier this year. Let's get into the Bend this weekend. So it's a two-day format for Supercars. We've got practice and qualifying on Saturday morning, and then we lead into the first of the races of the weekend on Saturday afternoon, and then that follows into Sunday with a double-header qualifying session, and then races 22 and 23 of the championship later in the day. Ford Mustang drivers have actually dominated in the recent past at the Bend Motorsport Park. Now, they've taken the last 7 race wins at the South Australian circuit and also the last 8 pole positions in a row. So we're going to find out this weekend if anybody can break the Ford dominance at the Bend. Let's have a look at your Grove High leaderboard leading into this weekend. Shane van Gisbergen still leads the championship points on 1,881 points. Anton De Pasquale, 274 points further back. We've got Cameron Waters in third. He's 330 points, so a full round off Van Gisbergen, and Will Davis and Chaz Mostert round out the top 5. Make sure you check out the R&J Batteries event guide on speedcafe.com, and we'll have Mobile One live updates running for you once again this weekend, so you can stay across the action if you're not at your TV. Speedcafe.com is also giving you the opportunity to win the ultimate Bathurst prize with the chance to win a trip for 2 at this year's Repco Bathurst 1000 and the ultimate trackside experience. Tickets are limited at $20 with all proceeds going to St Vincent's Health Australia. There's too many prizes to list, so make sure you check out ultimatemotorsportprize.com.au to enter. Thanks for watching. That was Ryco filters clear in the air for the Bend Motorsport Park. Make sure you keep an eye on speedcafe.com for all the news and race reports over the weekend.
Ryco Syntec oil filters are used by leading supercars team Tickford Racing on their Mustang V8 engines, and now you can get one for your road car. As part of Ryco's partnership with Tickford, significant production enhancements have been made to the Syntec range, including larger ports that improve oil flow and a thicker base plate for added protection against oil pressure surges during endurance events, whilst maintaining superior filtration and life. Syntec is a premium upgrade over OE, so ask your mechanic for Ryco Syntec at your next service and fit the best oil filter on the market.